Okay, so I'm starting the recording. So what I've done is I've started the basics of your Rising Simplicity website. Once you log into your Duda account, I'm gonna delete this once you decide to take this over, so it will no longer be here. But you will have the one website, and there's a built-in editor, which is one of the things I really like about Duda. So I'm going to take you to the editor section. I've made some changes. Now, I was able to access your WordPress account so I could access some pictures as well as some text. But I took some liberties in terms of setup, and I'll explain why I did it this way.
Okay.
And I'm in the editor, so this isn't exactly preview mode, but it gives you a good idea. So these images are obviously very fuzzy, but especially since you're in a very visually stunning business, getting a nice little slideshow really engages people. And I wasn't sure if you have a tagline, but this is a great place to put a tagline, whatever it is. The other thing that I always recommend to clients is really focus on the kind of problem solution. So I actually made 3 columns here where I put, again, visually stunning pictures, I felt, that really told the story of what you do.
Okay.
And you may decide to change the order. For example, you may want weddings and events to be first or that kind of thing, and I'll show you how you can modify that. But I pretty much pulled the text straight off your homepage.
Okay.
But again, what I would suggest maybe considering is putting that information more on the About page.
Okay.
Which we'll look at later, because really you want to tell people how you can make their party awesome or their wedding awesome or help them with meal planning and really focus on them. And then once they get into your site, they can actually find out how you help them and all that stuff or what your background is. So I still added, if I scroll down, I still have this about me. I thought I'm assuming that's you at the cordon bleu.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure, that's why I didn't change it, but just, again, thinking about what you might put here, it's a little snapshot, but then when they click here to read more, they go to the About page where they can go a little bit more into your family and your mission and all that stuff. And I just left some things. Again, this may not be your hours, but it might be a little bit more about when you're available or your service area, because obviously you're not going to be able to go to New York or something. You might want to say, I can serve parties within the greater Sacramento area, because I call this in marketing the speed bumps, because I'm going, oh, gee, I'm in Reading. Will she serve me here? And if they spend time thinking about it, and you might go there, I'm not sure. But if you answer their question before they even ask it, that's going to make the phone call faster, which is what you want.
Okay.
So think about answering the questions people might have about how do I do business with Jeanette, so they're not overthinking it, and then they get distracted and you may have lost a potential client. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so let's go into a little bit of the editing. You'll see this is a lot cleaner than WordPress. This is the thing I really feel confident about Duda, that I don't have confidence in WordPress, is they've got it very well organized. So if after a brief training, you should be good enough to do certain things with your website, which WordPress to me is very complicated. And it's not organized very well. So let me kind of explain how Duda works. Duda works in really, well, it's four things. It works in rows. So if I hover over here, you'll see how this is a row.
Okay.
And then it breaks it down into columns. And I'll explain why it does it that way. So think everything in Duda is organized in rows and columns. And everything in those rows and columns is what they call a widget. So you'll see here there's an add a widget thing. So you may have a text widget or an image widget or a list widget. So they have different widgets that you can add to your website. And I'll show you how that works in a sec. But the reason the rows and columns is important is this is on what they call a responsive website, which is the latest technology right now in building a website. Reason it's responsive is because we don't know if somebody's going to be looking at your website on their desktop, on their tablet, or on their phone. And it makes a huge difference when it's on their phone, because obviously the phone's a lot smaller than your desktop screen. But one of the things we can do is, right now I'm previewing it in desktop mode, but if I wanted to see your website in mobile, it actually stacks the columns in a row.
Okay.
So it really organizes your information in a way that's very mobile friendly.
Nice.
And you'll see how that information, which we saw in rows and columns before, is actually, to me, is one long row. The other thing I like about Duda is I'm still in the editor mode, but they actually have a feature. So for example, this is a layout where there's a click to call button. And again, on the phone, that's important because they may be looking at your information and just want to call you right then and there, and they just have to click that button.
Nice. I like that.
So the other thing is, I'm going to show you another kind of widget. So they do have a click to call button. So let's say let's see, let's put it maybe just above the About Me. So if I wanted to add a click to call right after the list of your services,
okay,
I can just drag that widget over to the editor, drop it in there. What's your phone number real quick?
503-758-6577.
I'm sorry, I was doing the 916.
Yeah, it's 503.
Okay, 503, what was that last one?
758
758
6575.
6575. And then I'm just going to say call Jeanette.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll see how I was able to just add that really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of things about Duda. One, because that click to call button doesn't make sense on a desktop because you can't hit the your monitor.
Got it. Yeah.
So what I want to do is I'm right clicking on that button, and you'll see there is an option for hide on device.
Okay, so you would hide it on the computer, but
Yeah, I'm going to hide it on the tablet and hide it on the desktop. It shows up on the mobile. So then when I go back to the desktop, it won't show up. And that's true for anything on the mobile site. A lot of times I will hide things because I call the mobile kind of a Reader's Digest version of your website.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if you have a lot of content on your website, it may be overwhelming to somebody on their mobile. So there may be certain things that you have on your desktop, like maybe it's the About Me. Maybe that is nice on the website, but you don't want this to show up on the mobile. So again, if I right click on it, I can hide that on the mobile. So now it's a little bit more concise about what I have on my desktop or on my mobile phone. But if I go back to the desktop, it's still there. And that click to call button is missing. So this is one of the things I really like about the way they've done this Duda editor, is it gives you a lot of function across the different platforms, so you can really fine tune what each looks like.
Nice.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you back to the buttons. Let's go back to the mobile version. So I mentioned rows and columns. Every widget, and there's different kinds of widgets, has two different features. So there's the what does it have in it? So there's the edit content. So click to call is pretty simple. It's what do you want the button to say, and where does the button go? The other part, and you'll see up there in the tab, so there's content and there's design. So the other part of the widget is what does it look like? So in the button widget, there are certain options. I like icons on buttons sometimes because it says what the button does. So I can change the format of the button to be one with an icon. And then if I scroll down, I can choose my icon, which is going to be the phone, which makes sense. I can choose the button color. Like I can make it have a border. Let's choose the background color and make it a pretty color. Oh, let's choose just red. And so now and so the text is kind of hard to read, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I could do is, again, back to the design, which is a feature of what it looks like. Back to button text. Let's just make it white. So again, every single widget has what's in it, content, and what does it look like.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go back to the desktop, and I'll show you another couple of things. So different kinds of widgets. So again, the tagline is actually a header. So if I click on that, you'll see how it just came up with the kind of word editor options up here.
Oh, okay.
So I can change the font. I can change whether it's bolded or not, centered, pretty much word kind of things, because that's what text is, right? It's just words. And then this is how I just type over it. And so let me see.
My tagline, by the way, is bakery delicacies and meal planning strategies.
Okay.
You can see it right underneath my, you see my logo up there in the far left-hand corner. That's my tagline.
Delicacies. And I'm just going to type and then we'll format it in a second. And meal planning. I guess I did spell it. Strategies. Oops. Strategies. Okay, so let's make the font a little smaller.
Yeah, quite a
So I
bit.
can just highlight it. You'll see here the text size. Right now it's 90. So let's make it 72. It's a little better. And you can change the font style here. You've got a lot of different options. You can change the font color. Again, everything has content, which is, in this case, what does the text say? And then
What does it look
design.
like?
Yeah, what does it look like?
Mm-hmm.
Again, on the row, so every element, whether it's a row or column, you'll see I clicked on the row. And the background now is a slideshow of different images. Again, they're not high enough resolution to be good. But once you add images, you just have to click here. Add an image. And I've uploaded some images. Let's select this one just as an example.
No, why aren't those high enough resolutions to be good? Because those
yeah, it's pixels. So pixels is a measurement of screen width.
right.
And this screen width is almost 2,000 pixels wide.
Okay.
So from left to right is about 2,000 pixels. Those images were like 300 pixels. So that means it had to blow it up like 6 times.
So the more you blow it up, then the less. So it's
yeah, it becomes fuzzy. So all you need to do is most cameras, like your cell phone camera, probably defaults to a resolution of about 2,000 to 4,000 pixels.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take a picture with your phone and upload that into the system, those will be fine.
So it needs to be 2,000 to what?
Most cameras default to about 2,000 to 4,000 pixels.
Okay.
Now,
those pictures that you're using there were done by a professional photographer, though.
Yeah, but the copies I was able to get from your website were reduced down.
Okay.
So here's one of the tricks in delivering a website is you don't want to put like a 4,000 pixel picture on your website because the size is bigger. Mm-hmm. And then so the download speed is going to be slower because it's way too big than it needs to be. Okay. So that's why for like these little thumbnail pictures, 400 pixels is great because that's about what the width is.
Okay.
You could put a 4,000 pixel image here, but then it's going to increase your speed in terms of the download time.
Okay.
So that's why for images, they call this full bleed, which is full across the screen. You want to aim for about 2,000 pixels. And you'll see how this other image that I just added was a lot wider, which is why it's not as fuzzy. So I'm going to make that one first. And you'll see here that when I click on it, I can just drag it to be the first picture. If I don't want this picture in there, I can just delete it by just hitting the X.
Okay.
So now when I close this slideshow, you'll see that it's changed. This picture shows up first, and again, it's not quite as fuzzy because it was 1,000 pixels, I believe. Mm-hmm. So all we would need to do is to find images that would be about 2,000 pixels across. And you might have those in your file. They weren't on your WordPress site, which is why I couldn't get to anything bigger.
Okay.
So I'm just doing this as an example.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So let's scroll down a little bit. Again, if I click on this is just an image. And again, the content of the image is what's the image look like? Mm-hmm. Or what image am I using? So this is the image I chose. And then design, you have a few different options on images. You have square. You can round the edges a little bit. Oops. You see how I rounded it? Or in the case of your headshot, I made this circular.
Okay, yeah.
And so I didn't have to do anything on the photo itself. I just have to use the content and design elements to mandate what it is.
Nice.
Same thing with the text. So this is similar to the header. It's just text, but you'll see here that I could just edit that, bold things when I want. And again, if you want to add a new widget, like let's say I want to add a button here. So one of the things we looked at was a click to call button. Another kind of button is just a regular button. I'm just going to add one here just to show you. So a button can take you to an existing page on your website. It can take you to an outside website, like for example, on that reference to the Turkish bakery, you can actually have a link, click to visit the website or that kind of thing. We'll cover pop-ups at another time. So there's a lot of different things that this button can do. It can download a file. So for example, if you have an order form that people may use to order cookies or something like that, they can download the document from your website.
Okay.
Okay. And the other thing about Duda is there's a nice undo button. So you say, oh, I didn't want to do that. There's just an undo button at the top, and it will undo your last change.
Oh, that reminds me then, I haven't seen, unless because you're going fast, but I know on WordPress you have to save everything and update everything, and if you don't press that button, then it defaults back.
Yeah. So actually, you won't. The only thing you can do at this point is undo what was done.
Okay.
It will save automatically on each.
Oh, it does. Okay.
The thing at the top, and we're not in live mode yet, but you'll see there's a publish button. So everything that you're doing does not go live on the internet until you publish.
Right.
So I'm going to actually make this square again. So back to this one, and if I hit the edit design, there's the round version, but there's a square.
Okay.
So the way they actually rebuilt their website a little over a year ago, and they made some awesome changes. But the thing is, one, they made it very consistent. So every single element, whether it's a row, a column, a widget, is got content, what's in it, and design, what does it look like? And it makes it very easy from a design and management standpoint to kind of follow that.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. So again, feel free to ask any questions. I'm going to go to the bakery page. So again, on the left side, you'll see here's a list of all the pages.
Okay.
As we create pages, I'm going to show you how to clone a page. So I'm going to click on the bakery page because it's got a few different kinds of elements in there. So this header I didn't, and I just used some of the default pictures with this particular template. So again, you can replace these with your own images that are appropriate. But I did create a bakery delicacies page.
Okay.
Again, some text. Here we've got a different kind of an element. This is a list element.
Okay.
So in this case, what lists do is it helps you organize picture, header, and text. So this is the one I used for this for one reason. If you click on the first element in this list, you'll see I can replace the picture. And these pictures were good resolution for this size. The header was the title, and then I just pulled the text from your website.
Okay.
Now this can actually link to another page, but there was no need to. So I just basically hid that. These little eyeball things are what hides an element. So you'll see here right now it's hidden because there's a little X through it and it's dark. But if I highlight it, I can add a link. You'll see how this link just got added at the bottom. So if I wanted to link to another page, I could. But I'm going to just hide that for now. And again, just like that photo gallery element of the slideshow on the home page, I can change the order. So if I wanted the berries to be first, I can just drag it up. And now the berries is first.
And everything went with it too. The
yeah,
tag.
Everything went with it. It's a really drag and drop kind of editor, which is what I like about it.
Yeah, I like that.
Not about, it's filling in the blanks because that's what this is, but very visually it'll respond exactly, what you did. Let's put it back the way it was. So I'm just dragging it back down. And then you can add elements to it. So if you wanted to add another row, just hit the add and you'll see how it added and says, what's the picture you want? What's the title? But the 3 across was good because that's what kind of fit for what you had for bars. But back to design, again, for every element, there's a design feature you'll see here. where this is the design layout I chose you. There's one where it's side by side.
Oh.
There's one where it's just the pictures and the header. There's one with the header on top. So just by a click of a button, you can change what it looks like
Wow.
in the design. So I'm going to go back to this one. But another of the elements is image links, images. You'll see how the images have different properties as well. You can have it, when you hover over it, you can zoom out.
Okay.
Grayscale. I mean, so like if I go into preview mode, I'm just going to show you what happens. Right up here, there's a preview mode. So if you wanted to ever see what the website would look like live, I don't know why it's got double headers, but you'll see how when I hovered over it, kind of zooms out.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
That kind of stuff. I mean, really, from a programming standpoint, I don't know how you would do that in WordPress.
Mm-hmm.
But just by clicking a button, you can say, oh, I don't like how that looks, and go back to the editor and try something else or remove it.
That's nice.
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to, let's see, the editor now. Oh, look, I'm not sure why it doubled that. That's weird. Now, just like technology, sometimes there's glitches, but that's why the undo button becomes good. That's weird.
Eliminated.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Let's see if I can undo this. One of the things, right now, we don't have this option. Oh, there it goes. Weird. Right now, we don't have this option, but in the settings, there's a backup. So let me take you there real quick. There is a way to back up the site. And again, we don't have this now because we're not in the paid version. But as soon as you go to a paid version, I tell people, once you're happy with your website, do a backup. Because if I completely mess something up, I deleted a page I didn't mean to, and I can't recover it, or whatever happens, I can always go back to a backup and recoup that snapshot of your website.
Mm-hmm.
So I say whenever you make major changes or it's exactly where you want to, just take a snapshot, because it doesn't cost you anything to do that.
You
and that
mean
way
like
you're
screenshot?
Actually, it backs up the entire site. So for example, if we are having our second session in a week, and you know Susan and I just completely messed it up, and we were on the paid version, we could go up to the backup that we did today.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a nice safeguard. We don't have that because it's not paid yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure why it's doing this double thing. And maybe it's one of the options. Now, again, just like technology, there are glitches, but because we have backup, there's human error as well.
Sure.
So that's a list widget, and I'll fix this before I turn this over to you.
No worries.
Now, another thing, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Okay. So you'll see that I put these in 2 separate rows.
Mm-hmm. But
they're pretty similar. I mean, they don't go full bleed, because I don't like websites that go all the way across it. It's like a big, huge newspaper in one column. It's hard to read. I like columns, which is why this breakdown into rows and columns is good. So the second row I have on this page is actually your cookies. And this didn't have descriptions and titles like the bars did. Mm-hmm. So instead of using that same list element, I used a photo gallery element or widget.
Okay.
Same thing, except it doesn't have titles, so all I have to do is add an image. And you can upload a new image just by clicking this button here. So if I go to your flash drive or wherever you have these images, you can pull this off your computer. Mm-hmm. But again, if you just drag, you can drag these, you can eliminate them. Again, very easy to manipulate. You can add as many as you want. There's no real limit here. And you have a lot of great ones. I knew that we were just going to do some training. But that's a great visual. And again, back to design, you'll see here that you can put a title if you want to title these, which might be helpful. Like, some of these look like they're themed and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you can add a title if you want. You can choose the number of columns. So for example, right now, I think 4 is a good size because it gives you enough detail, but it doesn't overwhelm the page. But if you choose to add another row or another column, you see how it automatically just resized everything.
Oh, okay.
And you can go down to 3.
So if I get less columns, the pictures are bigger.
Right.
pictures are smaller. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, you want it big enough where they can see some detail, but this way, if you have 20 images,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have to take over a big part of your website.
Sure.
And you'll see here where on the hover, I have it so that it kind of zooms.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it will kind of go back to if I right click on this widget, you'll see there's an entrance animation. I like websites that kind of have a little bit of movement because it creates energy.
Sure.
And that's one of the benefits of WordPress of Duda is they really made that easy. So you'll see here right now the entrance is none, but let's fade in from the bottom. So if I preview this, you'll see how they just kind of all zoomed in.
Okay.
It just kind of creates this nice little visual energy thing. That's why slideshows are good.
Mm-hmm.
This one is a static thing because you don't want to be too busy.
Yeah.
I want the focus to be on the detail images below.
It all to be moving.
But you can kind of play with that. So I know you had different categories of cookies, and again, for the training purposes, I just wanted to show you an example.
Sure.
So I mentioned cloning. So let's say you wanted to create another one. Let's say it was just like bridal showers. Maybe you just wanted specialty cookies for bridal showers. So what I would do is I would go to the row, click on it. You'll see there's a copy feature. So I'm going to copy this row. I'm going to paste the row above the row I'm in. So you see now I have 2 rows with the same information.
Mm.
Now I can just edit this because I'm lazy. If I like the layout of something, I don't want to have to recreate it.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So now my editor is a little slow right now, spinning. But if you click on this, you can change that to be bridal shower cookies.
Mm-hmm.
If the price is different, you can change the price if you need to. But now you can go into this. Oops. I'm not in the editor. That's why. You can go here and change the images. You can delete all the images and then maybe just add some images that are just bridal shower. Oops. Didn't do the save here. Select, done. There we go. And then just add images that have to do with that. Okay. So just by copying and then pasting, you can recreate rows really easily.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so we've gone into several different kinds of widgets. If you go over here, I mean, they keep adding widgets, which is why I know this company is going to be around a long time. You'll see here that there's icon widgets and map widgets, which I don't think necessarily. There's the photo gallery widget, which is what we used for the cookies. Mm-hmm. There is the buttons we covered. There's columns and tables and tabs. So a column is just adding another row. Mm-hmm. So if you want a 1-column row, you would just drag that element and create another column or another row with a column in it. Mm-hmm. There are before and after pictures. I don't think that applies to you, but you'll see in that you can add audio, you can add shapes, and they keep adding this to. One of the ones I wanted to show you is actually at the top. So you'll see up here, I didn't have your social media links, but I know you use Pinterest, yeah?
Yeah, and actually on the very bottom of my website, mm-hmm. where all my social media links are.
Yeah, and that was a problem because I was getting that security error on your website. I was never able to see the live website.
Oh.
Let me show you how easy it is. Again, this is a social icon widget.
Okay.
So the content is what links do you want? So you can link to Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or Pinterest. And down below the ones you highlighted, you just put or Instagram, you put your address there. Mm-hmm. And let's say you don't you used Pinterest. Do you use Twitter?
Not really.
Yeah, me either. So I'm just going to undo that.
Yeah, I had.
Now you can put Pinterest, maybe the first one. You see how I just drag that? Mm-hmm. And now on the icons, you'll see that it changed the order and we eliminated the Twitter.
Okay.
It left the icons. But back to design, you may want it to be more colorful. So the layouts for this are these elements. Hmm. So you can choose one of those kind of, what does it look like? The design. And then well, size, there was a size. Yeah, there it is. So icon size. So it was pretty small before, and maybe you want it a little bit bigger so you can actually increase the size.
Oh.
So again, back to everything has, what's in it, and then what does it look like? And again, copy and paste. So I put the icons in the top right, but also I put it in the footer. So since I just want to, let's say I made these changes, I want to just right click, copy it, go down to the footer. I'm going to delete this one just by hitting the X, click to paste, and there's that same list.
Okay.
So that way, if you change it in one place, you can just copy and paste something. You don't have to recreate it.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So that's just another element. Let's go to the content. Oh, actually, let's go to the events. So again, I just pulled some there. So I put your meal planning workshop information here. And again, you see this is just a 2-column row. And what you might want to do is you can either add text here, or I think, let me see here.
I wonder if adding a calendar would be a good
Well,
idea.
that's what I'm saying, and I wanted to check here because I think they added a widget with a calendar. They keep adding widgets. It's like this countdown widget, like if you're having a kickoff to an event or something, is something new. Every time I go into here, it's like, oh, this is a new widget. That's cool. That's why I know the company's really staying on top of their game. Yep, see Google Calendar. I thought I saw that. I've not used it. But do you use Google Calendar?
Not as much as I should.
Well, and again, Google is giving you a free calendar. So what you can do is you'll see you just have to sign into your Google account, and it will sync that with your Google account. And then now everything you put in your Google Calendar, which will keep track of everything that you're doing, will show up those events you want to share on your Zoom calendar. And that was just adding a widget. See, that was new. That's why I had to check.
What if I didn't want it to be my Google Calendar? Can you just do
Yeah, so like, for example, with the Placer Women's Network, we're using a tool called Membership Works because it manages membership. But also, let's just go there real quick so I can show you. Placer Women's Network. So on their calendar, we're actually using the Memberships Works calendar, which feeds like this. And the benefit of it is that you can put details about the event. You can actually add registration. It's got a map to the location if it's an event, a physical event. And you can use Placer Women's Network. Well, no, you can use Membership Works for free and use their calendar.
Oh.
There's plenty of, there's other calendars. There's, what am I using for the other group? I can't think of the name of it, but there's another calendar that another group uses. And what you would do is Membership Works provides a code. So instead of, they will provide you do you know what HTML code is?
Yes.
So it's kind of like that back room, complicated language that the internet understands. So with Duda, if you get a widget from Membership Works or any other calendaring system, let me go back to Duda. Where am I? That's WordPress. Did I close the Duda one? Let me go back to Duda. So I'm going to my dashboard again. Must have X'd out of that and hitting your editor. So one of the widgets we haven't talked about yet is the HTML widget. So let's say on the event calendar page, you decided you were going to get a widget from Membership Works, and you got the code. So if I go to the widgets, I look for the HTML widget. I drag it where I want it. And it's saying add the code here.
And then you just copy.
Yeah, whatever Google provides HTML code.
Yeah, I've done that with WordPress before.
Yeah, so code here. Oops. Code here. And that's where the code would go.
Okay.
So if you don't use their widget for Google, you can just delete that. Oops. Delete that. And then just use that code, which will then, when you publish it, will use whatever widget was added from the elsewhere.
Okay.
Last thing, I'm going to go to the contact page. Again, this is just another widget. It's just a form widget.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, let's say you wanted to use this widget to get dates for an event.
Mm-hmm.
So I can add a field. Types of fields include a date field. And you would just change that to date of your, date of your event. And I would move that maybe a little higher.
I used to have a contact form and it just went away when WordPress did some stuff on
Yeah,
that.
well, see, and that's my issue with WordPress is because all the support other than the external widgets that we talked about come from Duda. So, for example, that one issue I was having with the list before, if I can't figure out, I would just do a snapshot and say, what's going on with this widget? And they respond. And they've been pretty, they don't have a phone number, but they have a email support. And very rarely does it take them more than 24 hours to get back to me. And that's one of my criteria for what any website support company is. I don't want to be wondering if they're ever going to, in fact, I just canceled something. I signed up for something and their fulfillment was just awful. So I said, this is, I mean, it took them 2 weeks just to get me my login account.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want to keep using something when I'm going to wonder how long it's going to take you to get back to me. So please cancel my account. And Duda, I've been using them probably for 7-8 years now. And I still, I mean, like I said, they just redid their editor a year and a half ago. They keep adding widgets. They're very responsive. So I think I mentioned this. If something happens to me and you said, I can't figure out how to do this, you can always contact them. There's also, you'll see up at the top right, there's a question mark with the help. They have online tutorials about the web builder. You know, all the questions about the widgets are here. So like if I wanted to know about the video widget, I just type in video. Oops, video. Add a video widget. And there's a tutorial about how to do it.
Nice.
Yeah, so again, this is my criteria for website development. If something happens to Susan, I don't want you stuck. I want you to be able to reach out to Duda, said, you know, I watched your video, I still don't get it. What am I doing wrong or whatever? And they will respond to you. So that's why I'm a big fan of Duda as far as one, and you'll see how this is kind of a short, and this may be big enough. So like if I go into preview, you'll see how it just pops up a calendar where I can just choose the date of my event. And I may want this bigger because it's kind of hiding it. So if I go back to the editor, I can change that. Let's see. If I don't use an element a lot, it takes me a while to find it. But, field size. You'll see there it's field size. So maybe I wanted to go 50% across the page instead of 100. But you'll see how it made that bigger.
Got it.
So again, everything as far as widgets, it'll take some getting used to, which is why I'd like you to play with this if this is a tool you think you could use. And maybe in a week or two, I'll follow up with you to answer any questions.
Yeah.
So that we don't have to rely on just Duda help to kind of get to the next step, because you're going to play with it and you're going to find things that you like. You're going to find things that you're not quite sure about. And that's kind of why I'm here, to handhold you through this learning curve.
Awesome.
Let me show you one other thing before we kind of wrap it up. But if I go to pages, I mentioned cloning. So one of the things I noticed on your website was, let's go into preview mode real quick. So I think you understand what an anchor is, right?
No.
Okay. So on your website, I noticed that this is one way to set up a website. So if I go to the bakery, page, you notice there's a bar row. There's a specialty cookie row. And so if I want to go to there really quick, if I'm here and I go to bars, it'll jump me to the bar row.
Okay. So
And it's not a new page.
It's like a drop-down menu.
Well, it's kind of a drop-down menu, but it's what they call an anchor. So let me show you how that works. And this is an option, and this is why I wanted you to play, because there's lots of ways to build the website. I chose elements that I thought would work, but also navigation. So for example, let's say, and you seem to have a lot of different kinds of cookies.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you want to have a page just that had cookies in it, right?
Okay.
So one of the things you can do is, let's go back to the editor. So I'm going to take, pages. I'm going to take the bakery page, which basically has bars and cookies on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to hit this little gear, which is kind of like your control panel thing. And I'm going to duplicate that page. So remember how we copied that row?
Right.
Now I'm going to copy a page. Duplicate the page. I'm going to call this specialty cookies. Oops. And it just created a copy of that entire page. And you'll see how it dropped it at the bottom.
Okay.
You'll see how that it added it to the bottom or the end of the navigation.
Oh, on the menu. Okay.
Right.
Up on top. Okay.
But let's say I want to have that under bakery. So I can drag that. Oops. Drag it. Let's put it under here. So you'll see how it disappeared in navigation.
Okay.
And now shows up here.
Nice. Okay.
So now what I can do is go to this page. Maybe I want to delete the bars. So I'm going to go, whoops. Okay, so I can go here and delete the row. Where was I? There we go. I'm going to delete this row. And it says, are you sure you want to delete it? Yep, I'm sure. Now I just have the cookies there. So now you can continue to build this new page, maybe with just cookies, because you don't want your page to be really, really long.
As long as
yeah. So it's kind of like you're figuring out how you want to organize things.
Yeah.
So you'll see here that now I have, if you go back to the pages, that's what these little anchors are.
Mm-hmm.
So you can add an anchor to your navigation, which is what I did. But if you'd rather have a separate page, then you can clone these pages.
Duplicate the page. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I probably would do that because it's nobody wants to just keep scrolling down.
Yeah, exactly. And that way here, again, you can change this title now to be the title of the page. Specialty cookies. Again, change the background of this row, maybe add a little bit more text, and then just maybe have your cookies broken down by special occasion. Baby showers or birthdays or that kind of thing. And one of the things you can do is on the anchors, and again, this may be something we'll cover more in the secondary training we do, but what you may want to do is maybe have a summary of all the different kinds of cookies you have, like an index. So let me show you what that would look like. So I'm going to go to this row, click on it. I'm going to add a column. Where's the arrow? Add a column. So you'll see how it just added another column here.
Okay.
I'm going to make that a little bit more narrow. And then you can add a navigation here to like bridal cookies and wedding cookies and different things that would then go to the anchor. Does that make sense? Let me show you that real quick.
I lost you somewhere.
Yeah, so, I know, I'm going through a lot. This is why I wanted to do the secondary training, because you're going to review this video and go, oh my gosh, there's a lot. But once you get used to this, I think this is something that's going to be way easier to manage than WordPress.
It sure seems like it.
Yeah, so let me go ahead. I'm going to add a widget. I'm going to make it a text widget. So the goal would be to have like an index of all the kinds of cookies. I'm just going to call it cookie index because you can change this later. Cookies index. And we're going to call it, and I'm going to go into bullet mode, and I'm going to call this like baby showers,
bridal
birthday.
showers, birthdays,
Yeah,
weddings.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I get
you might have, let's say you have like 6 or 7 of these.
it. Mm-hmm.
So this gives people a good snapshot of the specialties. And let's say they just want to jump to that part of that page. They don't want to have to scroll, scroll, scroll. So this is where the anchors become valuable.
Okay.
So
Good.
let's call this, just again as an example, we'll call this birthday cookies. Birthday, whoops, spell, birthday cookies. Again, you can then change these to the birthday cookies.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this. You'll see how it says edit anchor.
Okay.
So I am going to call this anchor birthday cookies. And you see how it says add to navigation?
Okay.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. So now, if I go up here, I can hyperlink. So you know what a hyperlink is?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see how it has this link
Right.
feature. I can click on it and it says, okay, now what do you want to link to? Well, I want to link to an anchor that's on this specialty cookies page. The
Mm-hmm.
anchor I want to link to is called special birthday cookies.
Mm-hmm. I think in WordPress they call it a parent.
Okay.
A parent page or something like that. Associate with parent.
That could be, yeah. So if I preview this now, when I click on the birthdays link,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to jump down to that birthdays.
Nice.
So that's a good use of anchors. So
Yeah.
I like to have like a little index here. So they get a summary of all the different kinds. They can always scroll down, but this gives them a kind of a jump to that part of the page.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so we kind of went through the elements. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, this is why I wanted to budget for that secondary training.
Mm-hmm.
So I really just put some basics into the website so you have something to work from.
Okay.
And again, anything that I've done, we can change.
Okay.
This is just a framework. But what I recommend you doing is just going in here
Mm-hmm.
and just playing with it. And a good thing to do is if you're like, your very first time, I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to make a page and I'm going to call this, I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to call it play page. I do this for my clients a lot. You'll see how, again, it showed up in the navigation. I'm just going to hide it. So you see it, hide navigation. That way it's just kind of invisible. So if you ever published it, it would never show up on your website.
Okay.
But this will be a page where you can just kind of mess around and play and not worry about changing anything on the existing website. It might be a good place to start playing with widgets and start experimenting with the properties and the content.
Okay.
Until you get comfortable. One thing I would say is if once you get playing with it, you say, this is the perfect solution for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to do it. When you go to publish, it's going to ask you what your options are. Now you can pay monthly. Like if you're not quite positive yet, but you want to do the backups and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you can pay $20 a month on, for however long you want, just to say, this is the one I want. Because, Site for Life is kind of a lifetime commitment.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you couldn't close your business in 5 years, but at least you don't have to pay for hosting anymore.
So Site for Life is one fee.
One payment, yeah. And I've had all my websites, the Placer Women's Network website, almost all my clients up until this year were on Site for Life. Because I say, if you're going to be in business more than 2 or 3 years, you might as well pay for it all up front.
Mm-hmm.
Because then if you're in business for 10 years, you'll never have to pay for hosting.
Yeah.
It'll definitely pay for itself. But I'm kind of giving you these options because, again, you're new to this and you're still playing. But I think, based on what you've seen, hopefully you'll say, this looks pretty easy. I think I could live with this.
Yeah.
And then when you're ready, you have this $2.99 option. And again, this is no longer available. So I'm just giving you access to one of the accounts that I had that was kind of closed. The business is closed.
Okay.
So that you could take advantage of that pricing. Because that's obviously the best way to go.
For sure. Yeah. So that's to access the Duda, to replace the Duda
Yeah. So what I would say is, start playing with this. And the thing is, your website's never going to be done. right? Because you're going to be wanting to add new pictures and stuff. I would say, especially I'll show you, I don't know if you saw this before, but like if I go to WordPress, where's your WordPress account? I've got some tabs open. Nope, that's Plaster Women's Network.
Yeah, you have a lot of tabs open.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so if I go to your website on the internet, this is what I see. Let's see, where is it? View site.
Huh.
Yeah, this is what I see.
That's weird.
Well, and because I have pretty heavy security on my computer, this is not letting me see it because it's saying there could be a virus on it or something's wrong, which is why I don't like WordPress, is because it tends to be very hackable. And
Duda is not?
You know, in the 6 or 7 years, I've never been hacked. I mean, it's not to say that something couldn't happen, but I've never had a down website with Duda.
Okay.
And that's why I rely on them. I am a good designer and kind of good working with businesses on creating a good website, but I'm not a hardware person. I don't want to worry about hacking and systems going down. That's why I work with companies that have all that staff, and they're based out of the Bay Area. So they're pretty up on things. They've actually had Google on several of their training calls and things like that. So they're pretty plugged into the latest. But this is why I couldn't see your original website, because it wouldn't let me on my computer. But so what I would say is, once you're happy with a version of the website on Duda and ready to publish, then we would just take your www, point it at Duda. You can then disable your WordPress account, because I'm not sure what you're paying for hosting, but you would no longer need that.
Okay.
And then just start adding to it. But I say, as soon as the website is as good or better than your existing site, just move it over, even if you don't have all your cookies loaded.
Okay.
At least it'll be as good or better than your current website, and then you can go live.
Now, what about, because my Rising Simplicity email is through, so I keep everything except for the hosting then,
yes.
Correct?
Yes. So are you registered through GoDaddy or?
Yeah, it's all
okay. Yeah. I recommend GoDaddy because they're 24/7. I really like them. So the only thing that would change is the pointer that points www Rising Simplicity at the WordPress site. We just change a couple of DNS settings and then it points at Duda.
Okay.
Everything else, your emails, everything else would remain unchanged.
And that's something, so I guess my next step is to either make that decision of, yes, I'm going to do that. Is that what I'm understanding you say?
Yeah. So I would say, play with the account.
Okay.
If you're, comfortable with it, then just say, okay, I'm ready to pull the switch.
Well, I'm ready.
Okay, you're ready. Okay, good. I normally don't give the keys I call it the keys to the website. I normally don't give the keys to the website until the bill has been paid, but I trust you, so I'm just going to give you the access to the account.
Okay, well, I can
see you next week.
How do you like to be paid?
Check's great.
I don't have checks.
Oh, you don't? Then I'll send you.
Okay, I do have. I do. I'll take that back. When I originally opened my account, they gave me, the little blank check. So I could get you a check.
Okay, or I can send you an online payment option.
I mean, I do everything else: Venmo, PayPal,
yeah,
debit, credit, like.
Okay.
But no, I can get you a check. If you want a check, I'll do a check. And who do I write it to?
I'll send you the invoice. They'll have everything there.
Okay.
So I'll send you an invoice. And then again, as I mentioned, when you're ready, I would recommend another call and we'll kind of answer your questions, see where you are. And then once you're live, I'll show you how to get the domain name pointed.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be good. Don't need help with that probably.
But then you'll be good to go. And like I said, if you feel that we got the website going, but you still need a little help, I'm open to trade with you. I won't trade with everybody.
Okay, yeah, I love that.
I won't work for chocolate. Okay.
I love it. That's great. So will this be available for me to kind of play around?
Yeah, so now that you're okay with it, what I'll do is I'll set up the login for you.
Okay.
Send you the password and access.
Okay.
And then just play with it. As I mentioned, I set up this play page. So this would be a good place to start, just kind of experimenting with the different widgets. And then again, just start going in here. Now, nothing that I put can't be recreated. So if you accidentally delete a page or mess it up, again, the undo button is up there. We won't have the backups until we get a paid account.
Okay.
But again, and when you're ready to pay, feel free to either sign up for the monthly or the annual or eventually the lifetime. I think that's where the biggest savings is.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. Now, should I just open my WordPress browser to copy and paste stuff over to this? Is that how?
Yeah, that's what I did, because you could do it just off your website. Just cut and paste off your website. But the one thing that I was trying to do, which I couldn't, let's see, where'd it go? Yeah, let's go back to WordPress. Under your, I wanted to show you one more thing in Duda. Under the content, which is the media, the pictures, I could not do a full download. I was trying to download all the pictures off your website. But you'll see when I do a bulk select, the only option I have is delete.
Oh.
I was hoping for a download option. So what I did was I just selected an image, right-clicked, and then saved the copy to my computer. If you have all of these pictures backed up, like especially the large resolution ones, you can just upload them directly. But if you don't have copies of some of these, you can always get them from your website. You just have to do them individually, which is what I was doing.
Well, and it may be that some of them I don't.
Yeah, exactly, which is why this is good you're doing it, because I could recreate the whole website, but there might be some out-of-date things, and you may want to make some changes anyway. So,
sure.
But this is how you access it. But back to Duda, I wanted to show you one of the other features they added. This is a little bit older, but if I hit content over here, you'll see there's a manage images.
Okay.
I'm an organizer, so I like to organize things. So when I upload those, you'll see I have a cookies folder. So you can actually upload the images all at once. So let's say you have a flash drive with all your cookie pictures in it. You just hit upload images. You reference the flash drive, and you can upload them into the cookies folder.
No, I just have, for instance, like I have them all in a folder under photos.
Yeah, so you can just upload them from your hard.
Upload them all from the same.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
And you'll see here that I created one from bars. So one of the things that if you see it says manage images, you can create more folders. Rather than have hundreds of pictures in everywhere, at least this will keep the cookie pictures in one folder and whatever. So it's just a nice way to organize it. So as you upload all your pictures, you might want to start here. And then when you go back to the editor, and I'm going to fix this before I leave, that double chocolates.
It's really double.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And again, it's just a computer glitch, and I don't know what happened, but that's why the backup and the undo is good, but I think I got past that. But what you do is, like, for example, if you've got a new picture of the brownie, you click on this, you replace it, and then all those images here that you uploaded in the content will show up. But also you can search for by keyword. So these are images that I tagged as bars. So it's good to rename those images so that they reflect what it is, as opposed to sometimes we have those like photo numbers and the date and stuff. They don't mean anything to us. So before you upload, it's always a good idea to give it a name so that you can find them easier.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. So unless you have any other questions for me, what I'll do is I'll send you a link to this recording.
Okay.
So you can record it. Actually, let me just do stop recording. Whoops. I just lost. I didn't lose you. All right. I'm going to end the recording.